Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Precious Metal Summit Conference here in Zurich. And now it's my honor and pleasure to talk to Tim Warman, whom I know really a long time, the CEO of Fuerte Metals. Tim, great to see you again since the good old times of Fiore Gold.
Great to see you again as well.
Yeah, so now you have a new venture, I would call it,
Yeah.
and now you're on the Yukon.
Yeah, no, we picked up the coffee project in the Yukon. It had been, bought by Goldcore about 10 years ago in 2016 from Kaminak, who originally discovered it. And then it sort of disappeared off the radar for about almost 10 years. And what people don't realize is that in the background, Goldcore and then Newmont, of course, acquired Goldcore. They were working on the project, pushing it forward, advancing it, and spending money. They spent over $300 million on that project.
That's a lot.
And then we picked it up, just 6 weeks ago or so. We announced the transaction where we've acquired it from Newmont, and we'll be moving ahead with it.
Yeah, that's funny that you acquired it from Newmont. Why they are not doing it by themselves?
Yeah, I think it was something that Newmont, they were on the fence about selling it. I think it was sort of on again, off again in terms of the sales process. And then I think we just were able to convince them that this could be a repeat of what happened with Orla mining, and it was the same backers involved, Trinity Capital and Lassonde, where Orla bought the Camino Rojo asset in Mexico from Goldcore. They paid them a lot in stock. So Goldcore's stock in Orla at the time was worth maybe 15 million Canadian dollars. And then Orla just slowly built that into a company. They developed that first mine, they acquired other properties, they grew the company. Eventually, I think the company's worth about $4.5 billion now. And Newmont kept that stake, and they just sold it about 6 weeks ago for $460 million from that original 15 million stake. So I think they saw the same possibility here. Sell us the project, keep an equity stake in the company. Newmont still has about 25% of our shares.
Okay.
And then...
So they have the upside.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Super. I saw in your presentation, if I got that correct, 616,000 meters were drilled so far. They must look like Swiss cheese.
This is all of that work that Goldcore and Newmont did over the last 10 years. And it wasn't just the drilling. I mean, I think when Kaminak had the project, there was about 270,000 meters of drilling. Now there's 660,000 meters of drilling. There's engineering works. There's infrastructure that they've put in place. There's permitting that's been advanced. They put agreements in place with the First Nations. So it's really advanced this to the point where we are going to be in a position to make a construction decision early in 2027 and then move straight into construction, if all, assuming all goes well.
Okay, super. So what are the resources today? I think it's gold, silver, and
just
copper?
gold.
Just
gold
at
coffee.
Yeah. Okay, so just gold. What are resources by now?
Yeah, it's an open pit heap leach deposit, and typically heap leaches are in that kind of 0.4, 0.5 gram per ton range. This is 3 million ounces of measured and indicated at 1.15 grams per ton gold. It's very, very high grade. In fact, I don't think there's another higher grade heap leach operation or undeveloped operation anywhere in the world than this. Yeah.
And you're working on the feasibility now?
Yeah, we just kicked off the feasibility. Well, actually, we are just finalizing which consultant we're going to use to do the feasibility. We should have an announcement out in the next few weeks. And then we'll have the feasibility completed by the end of 2026. In the meantime, we're also going to do a quick PEA. And the PEA is going to be more of almost like a progress report on the feasibility, because right now there isn't a current feasibility or PEA on the project. And so we can't really talk about costs or throughput or production profiles, any of that kind of thing. So we want to get that quick PEA out in early next year to try, just to give us something to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's to show what is the real meat on the bone, I would call it.
Exactly.
Okay, super. So what else do you need to do the next year to really then finish the feasibility study?
So almost all of the engineering work, almost all of the test work is done. So really it's just a matter of compiling the existing data, looking at a few different options. And we don't have a huge range of options because the project is so far along in permitting that the contours of the project are really fixed now. And what we are going to be doing is tweaking the plan, playing around. Do we do crushing early? Do we wait on the crushing? What order do we mine the different pits in? Just little things like that. And then we also need to finish up the permitting. So the major permit was granted in 2022. Now there are a couple of subsequent permits that have to be granted, and they should be all in place by next year. And we also want to start building the access road, because if we can unlock that access road next year, then we can start straight into the build the following year.
Okay, super. And I think there's also a large infrastructure project going on in the Yukon with that large Yukon road. So you benefit of that also?
So there's about almost $500 million Canadian dollars in joint federal territorial funding that's available for exactly for this sort of thing, building new roads into resource areas. And we believe we qualify for that. We've had some initial discussions with the government. They're very keen for us to apply for that funding. And we're just finalizing some of the engineering on those roads right now.
Okay. Given your experience in the mining sector, what could you imagine? Of course, you do not have the data yet, but what sort of production would the coffee project support? Do we talk about 100, 200,000 ounces a year or more?
Yeah, it's and again, we don't have the studies done yet, but
just
if you look back, if you look back at the Kameneck study, for example, and I think their production profile was around 190,000 ounces per year, based on what they were looking at, and so I think something in that similar range is probably where we're going to land. Again, we'll have to see.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was just to give us an idea.
Of course.
I'm not asking about costs. Perfect. Who are your largest shareholders? First thing. Second thing is, what is cash in the bank? Are you financed to do that feasibility, to do the construction decision?
Yeah. So we are. I'll start with the first thing. In conjunction with the acquisition, we did a $57.5 million financing. We could have raised a lot more. There was a hugely oversubscribed book for that financing, but that's where we kept it. And so we are well financed to get all the way through to feasibility. We may have to do some initial financing if we want to do some of that major construction next year and get ahead of the construction profile. But again, that kind of remains to be seen. And we're still waiting on some permits for that. So hopefully we'll get those in the spring. And then in terms of our shareholders, obviously Newmont, they own about 25% of us right now. Agnico owns about 8%. And then Pierre Lassonde and Trinity Capital, who are Pierre's partners in this, they together own about 18% of the company, and then management is about 6%, and then the rest is institutional investors and individuals.
Super. One last question, because that was a little bit funny for me. Why Fuerte Metals? You are on the Yukon.
Yeah.
It sounds more like South America.
I know, yeah. The company actually has a couple of projects in Latin America, in Mexico and in Chile. And El Fuerte means strong, and it's actually a town near one of our projects in Chile. So we will probably look to change the name going forward to something that sounds a little less Latin American.
And you will spin out those projects or sell them?
I don't know. We're still trying to decide what to do with those projects. They're great projects. We just, we'll see if we have our hands full.
Yeah, maybe bring coffee in production, then do the other ones.
Yeah, maybe.
Fantastic. Tim, thank you very much. It was a great insight in your company. And good luck for your new venture, and I'm pretty sure you guys make it because you know what you are doing.
Yeah. Thanks, Jürgen.
Super. Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it was Tim Warman, the CEO of Fuerte Metals, and they just bought the coffee project like 6 weeks ago, and now really go into the development for the feasibility study. First of all, do a PEA, like a report, what has been achieved for next year, but then 2027 feasibility done. And the construction decision, I'm pretty sure, will come then also ASAP. Really check out the company, because the who is who of the mining industry is already invested, and that's probably not a bad idea to have a very close look onto that company. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland, from Precious Metal Summit.